So what exactly is the hardest thing about being vegan? We all know that being vegan is aligning your choices with your values. This lifestyle is not just about the food you eat. It's about reducing harm to animals and the planet. This lifestyle is also about living compassionately. And if you're vegan, you probably already know that the hardest part of this journey is not giving up cheese, and it's not finding the perfect plant-based burger. The hardest part about being vegan is seeing those around you who you love continue to perpetuate cycles of suffering. It's watching the people you care about continue these patterns of exploitation even when you know that there is a better way. In today's video, I want to share the emotional challenges of being vegan that I've struggled with, why these challenges happen and why they come up, and how we can navigate these challenges without losing ourselves and without losing our relationships. Let's get started. Imagine this. I'm sure many of you have been there already. You're at a family barbecue or any family gathering and everybody is excited about the meal. The table is full of dishes. There's roasts, casseroles, salads, desserts, and almost nothing is vegan. You brought your own dish to the gathering, but instead of feeling included, you're fielding some really annoying questions, like what do you even eat? Or that annoying person who's asking you, don't you miss real food? It's not just about the food, it is about the deeper disconnect. You've learned about the environmental destruction, you've learned about animal suffering, and you've learned about the health impacts of a standard diet. And that leads you to see the world differently. But the people that you care about the most find it so easy to look the other way. It can feel isolating, it can even feel heartbreaking when the people that you love don't understand that the actions they're taking are hurting the world and it's hurting you to see them do it. I remember one of the first Thanksgivings I had after I went vegan. I worked so hard on making this beautiful lentil loaf. It took me hours to make, but all anybody talked about was how juicy the turkey was, and people didn't even want to try my dish. I felt invisible, like my values didn't even matter, and that is a very hard feeling to sit with. I know many of you have been there too. So why is this lifestyle so hard to accept for the people that we love? I thought that if the people I loved saw how much this meant to me, how much my life changed from going vegan, and they learned about the same things that I learned, that they would jump on this train too. But for the most part, they haven't. So why is this so hard for the people we love to accept, especially when all of the evidence about the health impacts, about the environmental impacts, about animal suffering, it is all very clear? Let's break it down. The first reason why it is so hard for the people that we love to transition to a plant-based lifestyle is cultural norms. In almost every culture, food is tied to tradition. Asking someone to give up their favorite dishes can feel like asking them to give up a part of their identity. For example, so many people associate specific holidays with specific foods. Thanksgiving is associated with turkey. Christmas is associated with ham. And so many people even have fast food traditions of watching the big game and ordering a bunch of chicken wings. Changing those habits can feel like losing something familiar. Food isn't just fuel, it's comfort, it's connection, and in many instances, food is how we grieve. So let me share a story with you about my dad. I love my dad. He's an awesome person. And after I went vegan, he actually went vegan for about a year. I was so proud of him because he suffered from diabetes for years, he suffered from cancer, and when he was eating vegan for a year, he saw so many positive health indicators, and I really thought it was going to be a lifelong shift for him. He was doing amazing. He was feeling better, he was staying consistent, and he was really enjoying the lifestyle. But then something terrible happened in my family. My dad's aunt, who was a huge light in his life from the time he was born, suddenly passed away. This was so hard for my dad. This was somebody he loved so much, who was a bright light in his life for his entire life up until that point. At the funeral gathering, they were serving fried chicken. This was something he grew up eating. This was a huge comfort food in our family. This was something that was tied to so many family memories, including memories with his beloved aunt. In his grief, he caved and he ate the fried chicken. And after he stopped his streak of eating vegan for almost a year, he decided to abandon it. This story is not about blame or judgment. Like I said, I love my dad. This story is just about understanding how food becomes more than just what's on your plate. For For my dad, eating that fried chicken wasn't about the hunger. It was about seeking comfort and familiarity in a moment of intense loss. And this is something that so many of us experience, especially when the culture or the family traditions that we are a part of don't align with our vegan values. What this experience taught me, and what I want to share with you, is that compassion is just as important for ourselves as it is for others. If you or someone you loved has slipped up on their vegan journey, that's a moment in which we need to use compassion. It does not mean that the progress that they've made has been erased. We are all human and we all make mistakes. Grief, stress, and cultural pressures are very powerful forces, and they are not easy to ignore. It's incredibly difficult to navigate through these tough times. This is why finding ways to blend your values with tradition is so important. For example, if I know I'm going to be in a situation where some comfort foods might tempt me, I'm always going to bring something for myself to eat. It's not just about avoiding animal products, it's about creating new traditions and memories that align with your values. So whether you're navigating cultural expectations or family gatherings or emotional triggers, remember this: you are not alone. Every meal you eat, every choice you make, every conversation you have is planting a seed. Progress isn't linear, and compassion for yourself and for others will help make this journey sustainable. The next reason that people resist change is because of cognitive dissonance. No one wants to feel like they're contributing to harm. I fully believe that most people, almost all people, believe that they are a good person, and they believe that the actions that they take are good. It is so much easier to ignore the reality of factory farming than to confront it. And this is called cognitive dissonance. This is the psychological discomfort that we feel when our actions do not align with our values. Most people who went vegan went through a period of cognitive dissonance and decided that they were going to align their actions with their values. But most people, when they're working to resolve their cognitive dissonance, simply choose denial over changing. Let's be real, change is hard. It's uncomfortable, it's messy, it's confusing, and most people just don't want to deal with it, especially when it's so easy to continue in the patterns that they've already been living in. For many people, cooking vegan meals or reading ingredient labels every time they go to the store is overwhelming and they just don't want to do it. The third reason that people choose not to embrace a vegan lifestyle is because of convenience. Because let's be real, people don't always like change. For many people, change is incredibly hard. Convenience often wins out, especially in the busy world that we live in. That's why it's so exciting that there's so many new vegan products coming out that are easily labeled as vegan, so you don't have to do a lot of work to figure out what you can consume. Understanding these barriers, understanding the cultural norms, the cognitive dissonance, and the need for convenience is not me making excuses for other people. I want us all to understand that we need to recognize where people are coming from. This will allow us to approach them with empathy instead of frustration in these situations. So how do we cope with this emotional toll? How do we stay true to our values without alienating the people we care about? I've had friends who, after being vegan for several years, have made a very strong line in the sand where they say, I am not going to sit and eat at any table where animal products are being consumed. That is a very, very strong stance, and that's not one that I approach with. I believe that alienating people because they're not vegan yet is a great way for them to have more ammo to throw at the vegan community. And let's be real, we already know that a lot of people have strong prejudices against vegans, so alienating ourselves more is not going to help the cause. I found that my favorite way to bridge the gap is to lead by example. So unlike that friend I have who doesn't sit down at any tables where non-vegan meals are being served, I do the opposite. I love going to gatherings where there's a variety of people there who may or may not be vegan, and my goal is to bring the most delicious vegan dish that they've ever had. If you're able to provide them with an experience where they can see that vegan food isn't that bad, it's not some alien food that I've never had, it's just a dish that's pretty similar to stuff I already eat, but there's no animal products in it. If you can approach it with some sense of familiarity it can make that can plant the seeds at this gathering for people to take the next steps. When people can see how tasty and satisfying plant-based food can be, they might start changing their assumptions. But if we alienate them entirely, we'll never be able to bridge that gap. I know there's a lot of us in the vegan community who want to stay in this vegan bubble, but remember, 99% of us were not vegan at some point in our lives. We had to make this conscious shift. You can't get mad at people for not making that shift yet. Getting mad at them is going to make them less likely to make the shift. So instead, approach these situations with compassion, with empathy, and with very good food, and you might be surprised. The next way I like to deal with the emotional toll of being vegan and seeing others who I love consuming animal products is to celebrate the small wins. Anytime a loved one of mine has a vegan meal, or they do meatless Mondays, or they eat vegan with me, I celebrate it. I make it a big deal so they understand how much it means to me. And if they know that this is something that is making me feel good, if this is somebody who loves me like I love them, they might take those actions even more. Progress, not perfection, is the goal. We have to remember that every step forward counts, and we need to celebrate these small wins to encourage others to continue on the journey. Another way to make sure we stay emotionally regulated in trying times as vegans is to protect our energy. I'm sure we have all been at those gatherings where some annoying person tries to spark up a debate with us, and sometimes it is simply not worth it to engage. Not every conversation has to be a debate. If somebody is hostile or dismissive towards you, it is okay to get up and walk away. Your mental health matters, and you cannot pour from an empty cup. The next way to make sure that you're not drained by seeing your loved ones consuming animal products is to find a strong vegan community. If you want to join me, I have my free community on School where we share plant-powered tips and embrace the plant-powered lifestyle. It's called the Plant-Powered Path, and the link is in the video description. I'd love to see you there. We can share recipes, we can encourage each other, we can talk about these struggles that we've gone through, and we can remind ourselves that at the end of the day, compassion is the goal for ourselves, for the animals, for planets, and even for those who aren't yet eating vegan. They also are worthy of our compassion. It's so valuable to surround yourself with people who do support your values. Find your local vegan communities or meetups and engage with people who are on the same wavelength as you, and that can go a long way in making you feel better. It's also very valuable to have friends who are open-minded. People who are willing to try a new vegan restaurant with you, even if they're not vegan, are the people who are most likely to take the next step and shift into this lifestyle. When all of these challenges seem overwhelming, my favorite thing to do is ground myself in my why. Why did I decide to embrace this lifestyle knowing that I am entering yet another minority group in the world? Let me know in the comments why you chose this lifestyle. For me, I started eating vegan for health reasons, but it quickly became for the animals, for the planet, and to reduce the cycles of suffering that are absolutely decimating our planet. It feels so good to live in alignment with my values, and anytime my energy starts shifting when I'm around people whose values don't align with mine, I root myself back in that alignment, in my reason for being vegan, and it makes me feel so much better. Just remember that you are empowered. Every action that you take makes a difference for animals, for your health, and for the planet. Every meal you eat, every conversation you have, and every compassionate action that you take, whether that's towards yourself, towards animals, or towards others, that's planting a seed. And when you plant these seeds for change, even if they don't grow right away, if you continue to nourish them, they will blossom. And even if you don't see the progress right now, it doesn't mean that you're not making a difference. I think we all know that being vegan is not always easy, but it is worth it. I'm so proud of you for embracing compassion for yourself, for the animals, for the planet, and yes, even for those who are not yet vegan. If this video resonated with you, then let me know in the comments what was your hardest moment being vegan and how did you overcome it? How have you navigated these challenges? Let's inspire and support each other. And if you're looking for a community that gets it, I would love for you to join my free community on School, The Plant-Powered Path. You can find the link in the video description. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and share the video with somebody who might need a little extra encouragement today.